Welcome to the Hospitality Maverick podcast with me, Michael Tingsare. We at Hospitality Mavericks are here to inspire leaders to create heart-centered and profitable businesses from the inside out, the kind that both employees and customers love and support. Thanks to BizSimply for sponsoring this episode as our show partner. And BizSimply is the all-in-one HR, workforce management, rota and operations software designed and built by hospitality experts to make every shift run like clockwork. And we join forces to help the industry to find new ways to become even more innovative in how we lead our people, how we operate, to how we grow our businesses, to how we serve our customers. Together we want to share strategies and tools that can make the industry thrive long term, not just survive.
This online story, this would be my advice to operators and hotels. Please maximize it. Please know what you're doing and do it in a proper way, because you have all the tools to do it as a hotel, but you just need to find the puzzle and solve the puzzle to do it. My suggestion is always, please look at the whole picture. Every stone is contributing to the pyramid of a hotel. From the cleaner to the revenue manager to the owner, every stone is contributing, and a lot of costs can be cut usually.
This is Bart-Jan Leyts, CEO and founder of Loreca, a startup with an algorithm that can improve the revenue of hotels and bed and breakfast by an average of 24%. And when I connected with Bart-Jan before this recording, I got the feeling straight off the bat that they were onto something very unique here. And in the conversation, we dive into how Bart-Jan and the team got the idea of building an algorithm to help hospitality businesses, small as well as large. We also try to find answer on some big questions like what is the role of tech playing in hospitality, and what is the biggest challenge right now for food and drinks businesses. We also talk about Bart-Jan's fast-moving entrepreneurial journey and what he has learned launching a business in the last 18 months. Before you tune in, please sign up for our weekly newsletter, Maverick Talk, via hospitalitymavericks.com. Lots of mind-blowing insights in this conversation, so enjoy. I'm excited today because I've been doing a bit of digging before I had this conversation. And I couldn't find anyone else that has built a platform like this to help, especially, operators and every size of operators actually boost their business and revenue in any way. And I'm talking about hotels and actually finding a way to make money on days you might not before make money, and actually also predicting. So I had a really, really great conversation with Bart-Jan before this conversation. I was like an eye opener to me what algorithms can do and help hospitality with. Welcome to the show, Bart-Jan.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
So I opened Pandora's box, if we can call it so. Maybe that's a bit too, dark, say Pandora's box. But I opened this box, this black box, let's call it the black box, and said that you are working on something quite unique. Can you talk a bit about your own story and actually how you came along to launch a tech platform that's helping hotel operators?
Yeah, so first of all, I am 23 years old as of today, and during the COVID times, I was helping my parents a lot in their bed and breakfast. So they own a bed and breakfast, but as I am from Belgium, from Bruges, tourism and the demand for tourism during COVID periods it was dramatic. No one wanted to came to Bruges, etc. So I was trying to help my parents and created for them this algorithm how their bed and breakfast could be boosted on OTAs and on the channels they are listed. So basically what the algorithm does, it maximizes the traffic available on the different platforms to show the bed and breakfast, the hotel, the accommodation, the vacation rental, all of them to the maximum, to the right client, and most importantly, based on data, to the maximum willingness to pay from the client. So basically, if we would search for a hotel that's one of our clients, you would see them as first on a booking.com, on an Expedia, on an Airbnb, etc. So their chances of getting booked increase. when it's like law of supply and demand, when their chances of getting booked increase, their revenue and their price, the ADR as we call it, will increase too. So the algorithm was founded by me, and by my previous co-founder Timon, and then we first started the algorithm, and then we founded like a company to like accompany the algorithm to like the fullest. So the company is called Loreca. As of today, we are in business for about 16 months. We have over 290 integrations in 6 European countries. Unfortunately, not in the UK. But like the average implication is that like hotels or like accommodations that work with us have like an increase of 24% in their revenue. And of course, if you want to go like more specific to the metrics, also a very big increase in their RevPAR and all these other metrics.
And what is your purpose, vision, and mission then? Because you said you're already at 290 integrations in 6 different countries in Europe, and probably more to come. But what is like the bigger picture of this? Why are you doing this?
First of all, like we noticed in the sector, like there is a lot of data available, but how do like owners of a hotel or like of a bed and breakfast, how do they handle this data? This is a question we solve for them. What is our purpose? What the company? We want to really expand and be a respected European revenue company, as it's in our interest to maximize the revenue from hotels, bed and breakfast, and accommodations. Especially during this times, first we had COVID, like a lot of these accommodations had a lot of like debt, then they had like 1 year, okay. And now it's the energy crisis, especially in Western Europe. So this is why we're there. We try to maximize their ability with the current market conditions to really earn as much as possible. And this is why we're there. We really want to shift the power of the customer to the hotels and to the operators.
And what is it like that makes your guys unique compared like booking.com or any other booking platform, hotels.com? What is it that you guys are doing that really is different from them?
So what we always start to do when we onboard a new client is we start to draft like a strategy. Like you have your own website, direct channel strategy. So every hotel and every operator wants to have as much direct bookings as possible. But then, of course, you have the OTA. We live in the world where the OTA dependency is very high. So you need to have a proper OTA strategy. You need to be on the right platform at the right time for the right customer at the right price. 4 or 5 different, very difficult questions for hotels to solve, and this is what we solve with our algorithm. So we implement on the OTA or on their property or channel manager software, so we can really maximize the OTAs. For example, if I look to my hometown Bruges, um, on a Saturday night, the traffic on booking.com is much more than it's, for example, on Expedia, Airbnb. But like all these platforms are dependent on each other. So it's like this whole mathematic equation. Like if you're on top on Expedia, you will get like lower on booking.com, etc. But based on data, we increase rankings based on traffic, based on which customer is searching, based on which cancellation policy, etc. So what's the purpose of our algorithm, Michael? If you and I would search for a hotel that's one of our clients, we would see two different prices. And this is really how we try to guess the willingness of pay from the client, but also try to maximize revenue of the hotels or the operators.
So, say if I was owning my hotel, I can then also start to find out how I can optimize my revenue on days I normally would have accepted. I just have to rent a room out, for example, for £35. I normally would rent out for £100 because it should be a low day. But actually, if I get in front of the right audience, I might be able to rent out my rooms for more.
Exactly. This is where we differ from like the traditional point of view in revenue management. Like the traditional point of view is if you have low occupancy, what you do to solve this, you lower the prices and you see if everything goes well, a higher occupancy, but with a lower rate. This is where we differ. When we have with one of our accommodations a low occupancy, we enhance and we improve the visibility so that the right audience sees it. So when the market demand is at 50 or at 50%, that like these market conditions are utilized to the maximum or like at the maximum capacity. So this is where we really differ from traditional revenue management.
And I think it's super interesting that thing where actually, as I see you, you almost comes in and become a helping hand to the revenue manager, or if they have that in a hotel, if the smaller bed and breakfast is the owners, but actually almost giving that insight you might not be able to have before, or transparency. Is that correct?
Exactly. We really like we decrease their burdens, decrease like their, all these burdens and their problems that they have. One thing about the algorithm is also like it automates everything. It automates like really everything. Who do you apply promotions for, but at which price, for which clients? Like it's really takes away all this burden and all this thoughts from like owners so they can focus on what matters most for them, and this is offering the best quality as possible.
What typical clients are you working with? You mentioned, the smaller bed and breakfast. Is that the typical clients you're working with, or you are a bit all over the spectrum?
In the beginning, we had a lot of like small bed and breakfast. Why? When I founded this company, I was a 21-year-old guy with no track record or anything. I was just a guy who went to study finance at university. So we had to start at small bed and breakfast. I had to like have a period of proof of work. So then we really started like bed and breakfast from 4 rooms, 5 rooms, 10 rooms, 20 rooms. Now we have hotels with 50 to 70 rooms. Like we have right now, like it's all over the spectrum, but we have a lot of like smaller or like smaller accommodations. Yes, just because we really had to need this proof of work, but this is also like incorporated in our vision and in our mission. Like we really want to help this smaller accommodations because they don't have the time for it. They just need like a company like us to solve it for them, to really like, these are all passionate people, to really like use their passion for them to make as much money as possible so they can live very comfortably as well.
Is there like some learnings you could share with us that you have done, like some really valuable learnings you've done as you've gone in, starting working with both smaller or bigger operators, on what really happens in these businesses as they start to work with the algorithm and they start to see the insights and the data that comes out on the other side?
Yeah, one vital point we always try to learn, or new clients or current clients, is that please don't look at a single reservation. Like sometimes you have people, and I will say it in euro, that say, okay, my accommodation cannot be sold for more than or for less than 100 euro. Then our answer is always, please look at like the monthly average. This is where you like take a proper benchmark of what went or what went well or what went bad in your accommodation in the last month. So there's a really the small data lessons we try to learn them, because as I said before, they don't have the time for this. They just need someone like us to really maximize it.
What is it's interesting you're talking about the average per month. So what you're saying is actually it's all the small things you do that builds up to improvement over time. What is the typical improvement you see then on average, in a business when you guys come in, you implement this? How long does it actually take, and what kind of results can you expect? You mentioned a couple in the beginning.
Yes, so usually it depends on like the how big the client is, but like our average client is about 30, 40, 50 rooms. It takes to implement about like 3, 4 days, like to have it like 100% set up, and first implications can be seen within 7 to 10 days. What usually happens, so like ADR increases by 21%, the occupancy increases from a range to 11 to 21% also, and like revenue in total increased by 24%. Of course, revenue is not everything. You need to look at profits. So we really take a look at the metric called profit per available room, and this one also increased by 25.2% as of today. It's like, every month the numbers differ a bit.
Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. And what have you then seen when the people has been with you for longer term? I guess there's people has now been with you for over a year. What is like their the outcomes when you scale it up on a yearly basis?
So like the increase in revenue, it's like we always take the metric about 1 month, but like it's over 1 year. So we have clients who see like increases of 40%. Of course, it all depends on the region. Our rule is like the more tourism or the more market demand there is for a region. So I can, for example, say in UK, London, there we would work like at really 30 to 35%. But we also onboard like the people who need us, like in the smaller regions, who have no idea about all this thing, and they take like our average, they lower our average a bit. So it all depends on like the region. But in the end, they all just see more money coming in, better guests, as we always. So we try to shift the market segment they are advertising, as we see the more guests pay, the less problems they have, the less damages that has been done to their rooms, and also the better the reviews. It's a strange correlation, but like the more someone pays, usually the better the review. There are plenty of explanations for this, but this is what like the really long-term effects are of working with this.
That's super interesting. How do you see? Because you can see here, I set the scene a bit in the beginning, like the role of tech is really changing in hospitality. But what is your view of tech in hospitality, and what role does it play in creating a better business in now and in the future? In your view, of course, you're probably biased because you have a tech company. But if you stepped outside and looked at it.
It makes managing an operator or like a hotel much more easy. Like we have done everything in hotels, from implementing software to like, adding CRMs to their system. We have done it all. And what the key takeaway here is that like it just makes the flow, like the daily flow of the hotel, more easy. Like you have less like, overhead costs, less planning issues, lot more recurring customers. Like if a revenue management system drives up, like sends you more prices, it all, if everything is automated, but automated correct, because like we have seen a lot of hotels who use the tech but use it in a bad way. But if you use it in a correct way, it really increases your bottom line, and also decreases your workflow.
If you're thinking about like the challenges the industry, food and drink, hotels, hospitality in general, well, what do you see the biggest challenges are right now for hotel businesses? It's we came out of pandemic, and now it seems like there's more stormy weather ahead. Well, what is the stories you hear when you talk with your customers?
The biggest issue is like inflation is very actual right now, but how do hotels and operators translate this inflation into prices? Because like guests, they are more hesitant to book because their own bills are getting bigger and getting more, so they like postpone their trip. But also for hotels, everything gets more expensive, so if they sell a room, they want to sell it at a higher price that they're still profitable. So there's like this adverse direction between guests wanting a lower price and hotels wanting a higher price. Like the distance between supply and demand is really increasing. So it's really vital that hotels and accommodations really have a proper look at how to like put their pricing to like, first to be break even, and second to be profitable, but with the right occupancy, with the right guests, etc. So this is like a big issue right now of hotels. How should they do it?
And what is your like thinking about what is potential solutions to this, and from because you see it from the outside and your finance background, what do you think that could be of solutions to this?
Very important is, of course, very traditional, but cutting costs where possible. Like this is something we always see when we really go through the processes of our clients. Like a lot of hotels have a lot of overhead and a lot of costs that can be cut. So this is step one. But the second one is just like maximize your online visibility and your online strategy. The day we are right now, like the online bookings, Michael, I think you also know it, but they dominate the spectrum, they dominate the world. So, like this online story, this would be my advice to operators and hotels. Please maximize it. Please know what you're doing and do it in a proper way, because like you have all the tools to do it as a hotel, but you just need to like find the puzzle and solve the puzzle to do it. And first, of course, cut the cost. Really look at which cleaner is taking how much time. Why should I put her or him in this room? Why, etc. Like my suggestion is always please look at the whole picture. Like every stone is contributing to like the pyramid of a hotel. Like from the cleaner to the revenue manager to the owner. Like every stone is contributing, and a lot of costs can be cut usually.
What is it like? If you look across the industry and we move a bit away from hotels and tech and whatever it is like is there like a pressing issue you would like to see also as a supplier to the industry disappearing? That would just be wonderful if we didn't have to deal with that anymore.
I think a vital one would be so right now on OTAs, it's very hard for hotels and accommodations to like really get a hold of reviews. For guests, it's wonderful because it's always true and like it's always honest. But sometimes, and I say in a lot of cases, like the hotel is really like being not taken seriously in this process. So for me, this would be like a solution to really shift the power back to the hotels, or like just ask them, hey, before publishing the review, what do you think about this review? Like for OTAs to put like an additional layer of trust in this process, because sometimes one client or one guest has a very bad experience due to certain different reasons, sometimes true, sometimes not true, but like if they are not true, it's very harmful for a hotel, and like especially for this passionate owners who really like put their heart and soul in like owning and like providing the hotel to customers. Can this one bad review really put like a downward spiral on like the owner itself, but also on like the online story?
What is this is really interesting, the review thing, because like it's like there's so much emphasis put on that when you make decision as a consumer in a way. So what you were saying as well is that it should be a more balanced process as well. It should be possible for company to reply to them and actually deal with them, so and rectify problems. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Rectifying is the correct word. As owners, they can reply to different reviews, but like rectifying is much more hard. But of course, when we look at the research, 75% of people book hotels within the first 10 of the like the search engine. So like this is where we specialize in, but then you also have the spectrum of the guests who really like read every review, etc. And this like these are the good guests, like the guests that the hotel wants, like they put like a whole process in searching everything. They are also from the data more likely to put a review. So it's always a pity when like one guest or one bad review ruins it for the rest.
What is like your prediction then if we go a bit further up in the macro level for hospitality right now? We both agreed it's like it's tough out there. There's a lot of struggle going on. But how are you seeing hospitality, evolve if I gave you the crystal ball to look in the next 3 to 5 years?
When I look on the short term, it will be very hard for like the apartment market. As you know, Airbnb is facing a lot of issues, and Booking.com, especially in Western Europe, will be like is growing and expanding a lot. But Booking.com is less sexy for like apartments because like you see an apartment, okay, you go to the booking page and then you have to pay a certain amount of money extra for cleaning fee. So what usually happens like in recessions or like in hard periods, like people tend to move away from the apartments and tend to move to hotels who are most of the time a little cheaper, you know, the budget hotels, etc. They have like more price elasticity, the hotels. They can like be more flexible with their pricing, as the apartments they are owned by like a private owner who wants to rent his apartment or his or her apartment, and need like at least 120 to cut like all costs. So apartments are really struggling, but like in a 3 to 5 year, when energy crisis would like resolve a bit, data shows that like international and overseas travel will like enhance and increase again. And in Europe, like people coming from the USA or from Australia are more likely to pay more than if like people from or like a guy from the same country visits a hotel. So these are like promising facts, but of course one vital thing is here the energy crisis. There need to be an answer there, and hotels and operators and the industry are really like facing on the short term a very hard period, and especially the apartment market.
And what is it that, like, if there's any, if you should take it a bit on a positive light, is there anything you're super excited about right now? What's going on?
A lot of things actually. So of course my company is growing a lot, so we're scaling really fast. We're onboarding a lot of clients. Like we are finding the balance between sales and IT. I have by the way, a very wonderful sales and IT team, which I'm very thankful for. But like in the industry, I'm really loving like the increase in like platforms that enhance guest experience, increase like guest journey, like how they perceive messages, how they like with the right words, how they perceive photos. All these things, I really love this trend because this will make travel only like more noticeable and more like really worth it.
What did you yourself? You are you're a business owner. What has like been and you launched the business in COVID. What has been like your significant learning in the last 2 years? And also you are in your early 20s, so it must have been a huge learning journey gone on the last couple of years, launching a business and out of the pandemic. What is like the key learnings you've had as a business owner, founders?
Yeah, it's actually a good question, Michael. As like, of course, my life has changed over the 2 past years a lot since I went from just being a student to being a business owner. But this means also that I learned a lot, like really a lot. Like my first company before this was like a QR code app in Bruges for like restaurants, and there I made the unfortunate mistake to like give too much to one client, making he copied my ID. So this was like my first big lesson in the industry, like know who you trust, um, and then go to like the sales part of the process. One thing that also learned is like if you surround yourself with good people and a good team, like you can accomplish a lot and you like get a lot from your team if you receive or if you give them a lot. Um, so this for me are the key takeaways, but I think the most important thing and the most important thing that like excites me is seeing sometimes how grateful people are when we help them, but also when they see, okay, we are making profit again for the first time in 3 4 5 years. So like sometimes people don't realize it how hard hotels or restaurants or like operators in the business it have like so like it really or it really like give me like a second thought when I go in a restaurant and I think, okay, the food is bad. Like it really puts everything in another perspective.
So it makes it very clear for you because you know the complexity of how restaurant, hotels, and the workings behind them, and how difficult actually to get that plate of food out there, and especially in the condition they operate in right now, doesn't mean it's okay, but you have more patience and understanding with them.
Exactly. That's exactly because, like, I know how the hours they put in, they work every night very late, and then they still have to do the finances, their operation, find the proper staff. Like, it's a whole process running a hotel, running a restaurant, or running a bed and breakfast. It's a whole process. So, this is where, like, everything puts it in a different perspective for me.
A thing I wanted to ask you, because you're a young business founder and you said straight out of university. How do you manage? We talked a bit about it before we went on air as well. How do you manage, and or how do you lead yourself in all this? Because I know how much actually business almost is helping you become the person you want to be, or can almost also be the opposite, the person you don't want to become. So actually that thing about leading and managing yourself is one of the biggest gift it gives by being in business for yourself or running your own company.
Exactly. So what really, like, for me gets the day starting. So I always have like a short chat with the IT team and just check if is everything okay or not. But what I really want to like implement in my business and what's implemented right now is that, like, we're a very young dynamic team. People can work wherever they want, how late, which hours, whatever. They just have to fix the work and get the work done. So I really experienced, if you give people a lot of flexibility and you give them the proper responsibility, you get a lot from them. Like, they give you a lot back and a lot of return for it. But what really like surprised me the most was if you just like dare to do something or just go for something, even if it's approaching the biggest client or the biggest hotel in the world, just do it. And it's like the sentence, you have a no, but you can have a yes. So this is like one of the major things that, like, for me and with the people I'm working with. So just dare to do something. You can never fail if you didn't try. So this is really kind of motto, like a life sentence that's important.
Yeah, and I love that. It's almost like a mindset. You have to ask to either find out or get permission, or if you don't ask, you never know. In a way, I also say. So the worst thing you can get is a no, and then you just find another way.
Exactly, exactly.
What would be, your top advice to hospitality leaders out there right now, that is trying to build, both business for the future, but also surviving and thriving right now?
As a finance guy, I would say don't ignore the finances. As a data guy, I would say don't ignore the data, but like find like a combination of them both, because if the finances don't add up or if they don't work, there won't be a future for the hotel. So this should be like the primary, like, key takeaway. And also they should really have a plan for their hotel. For example, the first year of business, we really strive to get a lot of budget bookings. Then from the second year, we will move to a different customer segment. So all these things, hotel owners, or when they start a new hotel business, they should really take in mind all these things, because all these things contribute to like a good strategy and to maximum revenue.
It's super interesting, the strategy part, because I think often, as when there's chaos and challenging in any kind of business environment, we often become busy putting fires out, and we become busy fools as leaders. And actually what you're saying is, get up in the helicopter, look at the numbers, look at the data, make some decisions, that spend a bit of time of thinking before you just move on and put out the next fire. It can probably wait for another day or two if it's already a fire, because it's about setting yourself up for success in the future.
Yeah, exactly. It's really for preparing and like preparing yourself for crisis management. This is like also very vital, because I think hotel owners listening to this podcast can, yeah, can really find them in this. Like, there will always be problems, there will always be crises, but like the way you prepare them and the way you like act and handle them, these are like what sets you apart from like other hotels and really sets you apart to your own business.
Is there like one question that you would have wished I've asked you here in this conversation, and then what would that question be, and what would you have answered?
Okay, yeah, I think one to advertise and like to promote the company, of course. A question is what a lot of people ask me, like, what is the costs of working with an algorithm and such? And the answer is always very brief. Like, we work no cure, no pay. So, like, if the algorithm doesn't work, we never get paid. So we only take like a percentage, like cut of the extra revenue we generate. There's like a whole economic and financial model in place to like really distribute which kind of revenue is due to us and which kind of revenue is due to the market. Like if in London Justin Bieber is giving a concert, like market demand will really rise. This won't be due to our algorithm. Like we really have like the financial model in place to like really filter all this kind of data.
Great, great. That was a really good, really good question, of course, because people would might think that it's very expensive to implement an algorithm, but again, as you said, smaller bed and breakfast can afford to do this, so that's definitely a win both ways. Things has to work. Where can people find out more about what you guys are doing and the learnings and connect with you if they want to know more or dive into to the product or anything?
Yeah, they can always find us on our website. So it's like www.loreca.be. We're from Belgium, so it's .be. Or they can just connect with me on LinkedIn.
We'll put all that in the show notes as we get the episode out there. Thank you so much, Bart-Jan, for coming on the show, sharing this with us, and actually give us insights in how actually tech can help to boost revenue and other great stuff in hotel businesses. I wish you and the team all the luck and power and energy that you need to succeed and actually help more hospitality businesses in these tough times.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate that you're listening in. So if you enjoyed today's conversation, please share with others, rate or give a review, or subscribe to one of our channels, which all can be done via the website hospitalitymavericks.com. A big thank you to BizSimply for supporting us, bringing great insights, strategies and tools to help leaders become better every day. Check them out at bizsimply.com or via the social at bizsimply or at bizsimplyhq. You can also email them directly at podcast@bizsimply.com. Thank you to Fina Charlton, who is the show producer from the Podcast Collective. If you have any ideas or feedback for the show or other thoughts, reach out to me via LinkedIn or via my email, michael@hospitalitymavericks.com. I'm Michael Tingster, and you've been listening to the Hospitality Maverick podcast show. Be Maverick.